any package that we come up with has got to have transparency, accountability, CEO responsibility, and obviously be in the best interest of the people of this country who are going to pay $10,000 per household in order to take the necessary measures to restore our economy.
Senior McCain advisor Nancy Pfotenhauer joins us now from campaign headquarters. Thanks so much for joining us. Let me show you what happened. This was an exchange earlier today with, I guess, Bloomberg TV on the bailout and on whether he will vote for it. Let's watch.
Senator Harry Reid said you were going to vote for the Paulson plan. Do you have a comment about that?
I did not say that.
I did not say that. So he's not committing to voting for it or against it. What is his bottom line? What does he need to see in the bill? And will he go back and vote for it? The timing could be right up against the debate itself.
The debate, you're right. Well, I think what we saw, Andrea, is about a week ago or last week, Senator McCain kind of met the crisis with, I think, a fair amount of political courage because he came forward with a very specific plan and laid out what he would do. And he was out ahead of Congress, out ahead of Treasury and the White House on it. And then you saw Paulson come out with their plan, and then the debate ensued with Congress. When Senator McCain went in front of the cameras yesterday, it was what I thought of as a course correction for Congress. He was saying, let me tell you, there are 4 or 5 things that need to be in this plan. So listening and watching what was going on and what was beginning to emerge, he wanted to make sure that these 4 or 5 things were kept in the front of everyone's mind. The first is that the taxpayers have to be protected. The second is that there needs to be complete transparency about what's in this plan and how it's going to affect people. He even called for it to be online. He said this is going to affect every American household. If you price it out per household, it's about $10,000 apiece, working off that $700 billion number. He said there's no CEO golden parachutes coming out of this with taxpayer money. He said there's got to be regulatory oversight and accountability. You can't give any one person a $700 billion check without an independent bipartisan oversight function, something that I might point out the Obama campaign made fun of us for calling for last week, and Senator Obama is now playing catch-up with Senator McCain on quite a few of these fronts.
Well, whoever came out first, is this, if those ingredients are in the package, would Senator McCain support it? And does he plan to come back to Washington and vote for it?
I think if his vote is needed for passage, that he would be here. But what Senator McCain has said is if these principles are respected, this is a time of crisis. This is a time for the government to act in the interest of the American people. But it has to be clear that that action is in the interest of the American people. And so not a deal just to get a deal if it ends up being something that takes us in the wrong direction. And again, there's got to be complete transparency on what's going forward here. The American people are paying a price for policies that they did not embrace and endorse. And again, there has to be accountability for any regulators who were asleep at the switch. And Senator McCain abides by a code that says you take responsibility, you don't take credit. And so when he called for the resignation of SEC Commissioner Chris Cox, what he was really saying is, look, he's a great guy, but he was asleep at the switch. He didn't anticipate these problems. There were certain issues, regulatory matters, they're probably too detailed to get into, but that could have acted as circuit breakers on this problem that were not in place. And basically, Chris Cox, however nice a guy he is, would not be chairman of the SEC
Nancy,
in a John McCain administration.
The campaign has come out again today very aggressively against the New York Times. Now, the New York Times was not alone. It was Newsweek and Roll Call reporting on at least payments made to campaign manager Rick Davis's firm. And you've pointed out, the campaign, you have pointed out that Rick Davis did not lobby, did not take money from the firm, has not been at all involved in anything involving Fannie or Freddie. Can you guarantee, the voters, the American people, that even though Rick Davis has not taken any money and you say has not lobbied, that he will not sometime in the future benefit from money that has gone to his firm in which he still has a partnership interest?
Well, Andrea, you at least are presenting it even-handedly. Rick never lobbied for Fannie and Freddie, and I don't think they reported the story. I think they engaged in activist journalism that's more of the Huffington Post caliber than certainly should be expected from a major newspaper outlet. The story is that Rick never took any money from Fannie, never lobbied for Fannie and Freddie, and that John McCain actively fought for reform, versus Barack Obama, who took record amounts of money from Fannie and Freddie and looked the other way on reform. reform. That's the story. And as far as potentially benefiting in the future, the McCain campaign has the highest level of standards ever applied in presidential election history that precludes us lobbyist involvement and any potential future benefit. And we've challenged the Obama campaign repeatedly to comply by the same rules and procedures. They won't do it, and they won't release their list of advisors, even though they acknowledge there are lobbyists on that list.
Now, we saw a little clip of Sarah Palin, but I have to ask you, my friend and former colleague Campbell Brown made an appeal last night that you stop being so sexist in the way the McCain campaign handles Sarah Palin. Let Palin be Palin. Let her take questions. Excuse me. Why won't you, sorry about my little cough and cold here, but
no problem.
Why not let Sarah Palin take questions and be treated the way a man would be treated?
I think it's a little bit of a gymnastic twist for Campbell to try to stretch that point. But it is legitimate to ask about what level of access do candidates have to the media. I will just point out that Senator Obama has been one of the most stage-managed, scripted candidates that I've seen in a while, whereas Senator McCain, we always had quite a bit of access.
Well, he had his first news conference in 6 weeks, I think, yesterday.
I know, but Andrea,
nobody's been very much out there.
But we've spent the better part of the last year or so, even the forums that Senator McCain chooses are town halls where you're going to be engaging with people who frankly disagree with you, and he's very comfortable in that format and likes to do that. Whereas, and I'm not sure whether it's Senator Obama's doing or his campaign strategy, but he tends to be very stage managed and scripted. But Governor Palin has had 2 or 3 major interviews. I think she's sitting down with Katie Couric today. We've got the debates coming up. The American people, and we have her in front of tens of thousands of Americans every week.
Yeah, but that's
so she's getting plenty of exposure.
And rallies. Come on, Nancy, that's not interviews. That's not questions. We'll leave it there.
Well,
but
you've got
we're still
Obama
waiting to see her take real questions.
Well,
and the
she
candidates.
will. I mean, she's going to be in a vice presidential debate. You'll see millions and millions. Well, there's going to be tons of exposure, Andrea, and and I might suggest that if you talk about treatment of vice presidential nominee versus vice presidential nominee, I mean there also has been a lot of chatter on if Sarah Palin had ever committed some of the gaffes that Joe Biden has committed, you'd never hear the end of it. And God bless Joe Biden. No, like I said, the vice presidential debate. Okay.
But thank you very much. Thanks for playing with us today.
Thank you, Andrea.